Big element for preparation for us is finding whatever we can find about the organization, not just things that are in the news, but given the precision of the type of tax service that we offer. We can find the valuations of the companies that the individuals we want to speak to know exactly what their tax liabilities are for specific locations. So our goal is to know a ton about them, so that way we're not talking about ourselves and we're talking about them. And that's one of the elements of preparation specific to their company and themselves as individuals. We do want to know where people worked, we want to know what their career history is, we want to see what relevance we can tie back in to, again, make it about them and not about us. So we have a template that we would show anybody about, here's our organization. Our goal is not to pull that out and talk to people about it, but to give them something and perhaps reference it during a conversation. We take a lot of the research that we put in and we build this deliverable to be specific to them, that when they're reading it, they're learning about us, but also learning about themselves. So the research that's applied is more, again, geared to them, while beginning to create the narrative and the story of how together what we could achieve. This is important because a lot of people coming here already have a guard up. You know, they know I'm coming here, I'm going to be sold. It's one of the least favorite things people like to have happen to them. People like to buy things, they hate to be sold. So when you start a meeting, it's really, really hard just to not jump right into it because you're thinking, I got 30 minutes. How do I say everything that I want to say? And what we've learned is the best presentation you can provide is the one you never give. So we start a meeting by just asking people what they do. And if that goes on for 15 minutes, so be it. And we let them talk about themselves, their role in their organization, and we try to guide the conversation through questioning to try to get them to, around the 15-minute mark, talk about the thing that we do. So for instance, we work in property tax. Somebody begins, we ask them what they do, what their job is, tell us more about your company, things hopefully we already know a little bit about. And as they speak and as we learn more, then we say, to what extent are you involved in business personal property, which is what we handle. And then that's where we get, not really that much at all, or, oh, I'm very interested in that. Then we know how much we need to say and how much not to say. It helps make the most of our time. 5 minutes with a very good knowledge of the person that you're talking to is way better than 30 minutes of a guess. So with the research that we have, we can show a pretty good idea for us in particular of where we see opportunities to save money. And it's scarce because it's tied to time. This money can be saved only within a finite period of time. So it's clearly articulating that while also articulating the potential of not doing this. All those things produce a scarcity of time that if there's not action soon, it might cost money, it might lead to increased risk. It may or may not give you a career opportunity to show your boss what you can do in partnership with us. So it's all about creating a story of what you could be doing versus what you are doing today. And it's without saying the time is now and do it right away. It has to be seen and observed by the individual, but that's how we go about doing that. So creating need, a big part of it is what I mentioned earlier around when you are asking more questions at the beginning to learn more about what's going on. Reality is every service in here could probably fill 3 to 4 needs. And you typically try to say, let me tell you the 3 or 4 needs I could fill, but they might not care about 2 or 3 of them in here and spend so much time on it. Through questioning, identifying which one's the most important. That's where, through that 15-minute process of learning more and more about them, that's where we can see what's the most important element, and then we begin to hyper-focus on that, and that becomes our primary point of the conversation. And we really throw everything else out at that point in time. It all still comes with the service, but why talk about it if it's not the main pain point of the person that you're talking to? So there's a couple of things. First off, we begin with what we know we want to accomplish at the end of the meeting. And it's not something stupid like we're going to get a signed contract next. You got to be realistic about what this person can do in this meeting and also what type of value could be provided in another meeting. So we have a couple of options of where we might take it, and those involve us getting information from them, also buy-in on the next meeting to figure out who's involved, who should be involved, and then if needed, we do pull out calendars right then and there to figure out when it's going to work. And that way we can identify what's an open gap that we all have, lock that in. But one of the key things is instead of just saying, it could be very common where somebody just says, yeah, let's follow up on this, send me an email. Great, what should I send? And then people support a world they help create. So the more and more information they can provide in the process, particularly around, it would be helpful for me to see this. Oh yeah, let's have a meeting. When should we do that? Where should we have that? Who else should be involved? Not saying, should we involve this person or should we involve this person? Let them tell you what the next step should look like. Otherwise, if you get so excited because they said they want to have a follow-up with you, you're like, great, this is a done deal. You need to have them tell you a little bit more about what the follow-up should be. And if somebody says, just send me an email, it's not okay. Not that they're doing anything wrong. Make them think about it a little bit more. And if you ask an open-ended interrogative question, they will give you a more clear path of what's going to be more likely for them to respond. Going back to the point of the last thing you want to do is be seen as somebody who's trying to sell somebody. My goal was, in advance of the meetings and around, is to try to be one of the more popular people by saying hi and smiling at everyone and sitting down with them and never mentioning what I do. I think the furthest away I can get from my brand and just be seen as a person, the most doors that will open, because even if you never talk to the person that you're going to be meeting with, if they see you're the person who's navigating around and not into self-promotion and just more into learning more about people, letting them talk, then it goes a long way. So my strategy and my team's strategy as they come in here is to try to learn more about, even if it's a vendor, another vendor just like yourself, try to learn as much as you can about somebody who's sitting next to you and have no preconceptions of what should be the outcome of that meeting. That produces the most. If you go into a social event out there saying, I need to go talk to Steve at ABC Company because I want them to be a customer, Steve's gonna have no interest in talking to you. So it's really taking a more end-around approach, so you present yourself as somebody who is genuinely interested in other people, and you're not here to try to sell. You're not needy. That's the key thing. I mean, we could spend an hour on this. First off, it shows an element of humility, that you're not too busy to listen to somebody else, especially people that you're asking to meet with you for 30 minutes who are also very busy. So you're reciprocating the same generosity they are with their time, you are with them as well. And in this technical field that we're in tax, it's something that there's not many opportunities for people like that to speak, and they see this as a professional development opportunity. So first you begin with the respect and being reciprocal with time, but also you're going in to learn and perhaps give them feedback about what a good job they did, which goes a long way for somebody who may be terrified to do something like that and had to work themselves into it. And also it shows that you paid attention. And then one of the biggest things from a sales perspective, you're gonna learn all the questions that I wanna learn in the first 30 minutes of a meeting. I might know way more about that because this person's in here speaking. And also too, the last thing you want to be seen as at these things, despite that being your role as a salesperson, you will seem more like a functional subject matter expert if you are sitting in the meetings and just listening to what people are saying, and you can ask them questions. You don't need to go say, hey, I know about the tax you're talking about. You can say, when you brought up this, that was super interesting, and then they'll talk to you about it. And in so doing, they'll think you're an expert because you listened to them. There's so many reasons to do it. I can't think of why anyone wouldn't. Well, I could think of why, but there's no good reason why they shouldn't.